So, colleagues, delighted to be sharing this presentation with you, and so sorry that because of the context we found ourselves in with regards to the pandemic, we're not able to be together as we've been in previous years. But I hope that I can just give you a quick kind of whistle-stop tour through some of the opportunities that we see in Coventry with regards to our investment profile. Some of you will be very familiar with the city, others will be new to you. So just in terms of a quick way of introduction, the first thing I'd like to do is just give a sense of where we are as a city and why Coventry. We are clearly a large city and a growing city, one of the fastest growth rates in the country. And also, we believe that because of our demographics, the young profile, the population is very vibrant and active, not least with our two world-class universities, makes us a really interesting investment proposition. We've always had, and we continue to have, really ingenious workforce and a real sense of where our research, innovation, development collateral comes from. So again, linked to the size, the skill of our workforce, and the real sense of forward-looking innovation makes us a really strong city for investment. And of course, for those that know us well, our connectivity is absolutely second to none. By rail, by air, by road, we have such a large catchment across the UK and indeed internationally. And then maybe finally, something that not all of you will know, but through a lot of hard work, we're now a 5G test bed. And with that comes all kinds of digital opportunities to harness not just tech for the sake of it, but answer some of those problems that have become even more acute during the pandemic, and about how we can really reimagine a city of the future like Coventry. Our sectors that have always been key to us in terms of our potential remain so, but we've worked really hard over the last decade or so to make sure that whilst we're known internationally for our advanced manufacturing, aerospace, automotive in particular, and design, we've also got a broader base now around our economy, around business, professional, service sector, as well as obviously new games technology, ICT technology too, as well as a really strong, although challenging area around retail, leisure, creatives, and the arts, because we're absolutely aware that we need to be as much as possible immune from some of the future shocks and challenges that we'll see inevitably in Coventry. And of course, something which I hope all of you will be aware of, if not, you're starting to become really familiar with, is we had the gift, which was hard earned a number of years ago, of being awarded the status of UK City of Culture in 2021. Now, whilst we were hoping to start in January of 2021 and follow that calendar year through, we're now, because of the pandemic, starting in May 2021. But our ambition, our aspiration for putting Coventry, the West Midlands, not just on a national map, but also on an international map, is not only undiminished, it's actually stronger now. And the phrase I always use is that it was a gift when we got this award. It's now an even bigger gift, in my view, along with the Commonwealth Games in 2022, for being able to really come through this pandemic and remind ourselves of those great assets that we've got as a city. And just look at the notion of Coventry moves. You know, this is a city where movement began. We've transformed raw steel into racing machines. We move every heart, turning flames into hope and ruin into beauty, two tones into one voice. Yeah, we are the young streets and curious eyes with boundless energy. Will move us forward as timeless words are made new on city streets. A million and more journeys begin here. The power to move is always in our blood. Coventry moves, and it does, and so does the West Midlands. We've been at the cradle of innovation for centuries, and we continue to be the ones in Coventry, in the West Midlands, that sets the trends for the next generations to follow. So quickly then through how we are going about and have been for some time now on transforming our city. And certainly when I arrived as chief executive almost 12 years ago now, I was very clear our ambition for our place in terms of our inward investment, transforming ourselves to be up there as one of the top cities, was a 2.5 decades, a 25-year process. So we're barely halfway through, and there's so much that we still need to do to become a place that we're all proud of and actually meets not just the opportunities in front of us, but also those challenges head on. And maybe above all, you know, for the property market, for transport, for assets, for heritage, that we make sure we do something which is not easy, but very powerful. And that's making sure we combine the amazing assets of our past with actually melding them with some amazing opportunities for the future. And I've already talked about 5G. What an amazing combination for the UK City of Culture to think about that which made us a medieval city and made our arts and creatives so unbelievably unique for our place, but then to link it into the power, the possibility of technology through 5G. And that's got huge investment possibilities as we move forward. So quick then, let's think about Friargate as a scheme using our ring road very much as that opportunity to break out development both within the city but also just outside the ring road as well. A really important scheme, which is, if you like, symbolise that 2.5 decades worth of reimagination of our city. And lovely visual of where we want this amazing new development to ultimately be, fronted by the railway station, which I'll talk a little bit about later on, but with those amazing blocks linked seamlessly now to our city centre. And again, I'll reflect on that shortly, but something which is compact but offers a real mix of uses and connected, as I say, right to the railway station at the heart of the UK, and a real opportunity, if you like, to redefine when you come into our great city, it feels like you're walking and coming into a global city. And in terms of the delivery of that, an amazing hotel coming on stream imminently. And with our second building, if you like, second Friargate, really thinking about, even in the tough office environment we've now got, about how, with the kind of demand that there is in Coventry and the West Midlands for high quality, grade A office accommodation, to really think about what that mix looks like. We've remembered the City Council being really bold and brave a number of years ago to anchor this development and to say that absolutely this is where we actually want to set the standards of design to make sure that we are future proofed on this part of the city. Don't want to go into too much detail now, but certainly for follow-up conversations, the fact that 2 Friargate, right next to our own HQ building, which we share really proudly with the Financial Ombudsman Service from London and our Homes England colleagues as their HQ, to really think about that threshold of design excellence and the power of, again, 5G, heat line, carbon zero, and that link to one of the busiest railway stations in the country, growing really, really fundamentally at the heart of our city. And I keep moving at pace now to think about that connectivity from Friargate right across to our city centre south scheme, and something which, for those that know our city, has to be a new community and has to imagine that through this tough challenge of pandemic and retail decline, that we've got an opportunity that we take really seriously. It's quite humbling, but also challenging to think that we will be watched across the UK and across the world again, as we were in the 1950s, post-war, to build, imagine and reimagine a city of the future. And so the city centre scheme for South is absolutely critical to what we want to do in terms of our future reach for investment, for living, and to, if you like, remark completely what it is to think about a city centre of the future. And think about some of the different ingredients, which will not be primarily residential, will not be primarily retail, but will be very much based on residential, leisure, animation, activation, is something that we believe place marks and really thinks about how you make a great city of the future. And a great image there taken from the sky of just how compact but powerful those different uses could be in our city centre. And we are really proud, and we simply cannot miss the opportunity for Coventrians, for investors, for stakeholders to really do this right. We did it, as I say, post Second World War, and we intend to meet our requirements and responsibilities head on again this time. So there's some of the benefits, as I say, of the various mix, and you can read those numbers and see some of the opportunities through the new homes, the transformation already, the amount of multi-millions that we've spent on public realm quality to really lift this scheme to be something that is really investable and actually something which others around the country look at with awe. So we continue to invest in our infrastructure, and that was a deliberate attempt to put Coventry on the map, and a number of you have worked with us in order to deliver, much of which has not been seen. It's underground physically and metaphorically, but it's the requirement to enable these kinds of amazing buildings and assets to come out of the ground. And we've invested really hard and become one of the best connected in terms of fibre, the heat line, the 5G in the country. And we know that investors, property people are saying that's what's really important for our cities, for us to take that risk on you and invest with you over the coming decades. Look at some of the visuals here about the design quality, the animation, the activation through COVID, living with it, thinking about how outdoor spaces, and more importantly, the space in between our great buildings are actually going to be used and reimagined in the future. Similarly, around our amazing £40 million water park in the city centre, the greening, the kind of power of really high quality design and spaces becomes an even more important barometer, really, for Coventry as it wants to move forward with its investment proposition into the future. And our railway station, a significant rethinking, but also remaking of our railway station as one of the busiest on the west coastline, and something that continues to grow as we come out of the pandemic and think about our connectivity across the UK. And finally, just to finish, because this was a whistle-stop tour, but it's absolutely key that in terms of our investment, in terms of why we believe that Coventry has always been, and particularly as we come through the major challenges of Brexit and hopefully a sensible exit out of the European Union and some of those big structural challenges on export and inward investment, but also the pandemic, which has chucked up huge amounts of challenges, let's be honest, for cities, for towns across the West Midlands and the UK, but also some huge opportunities. And for us in Coventry and across the region, we want to think about the fact that these behaviour shifts at the moment about how people travel, where they want to come, where they want to live, mobility as a service, the use of dark kitchens, electric scooters. Some of these things are, if you like, short-term changes. Many, we believe, are medium and long-term shifts that will not change. Therefore, we need to understand for our reset and recovery what is going to stay, what is going to be jettisoned, and above all, how we can ensure that we don't go back and allow, if you like, us to pin straight back to where we were pre-COVID, because there's been a number of shifts that have been incredibly positive. But by the same token, we want to make sure that all of those assets, all of those strengths and those opportunities that are in front of us are absolutely maximised, not just for Coventry, but for our sub-region with Warwickshire as an amazing county working with us, and with the West Midlands. Because if we do that, we can make some really sensible decisions over the next few months, which means as we come out of what will be a challenging recovery post-pandemic, we can actually be up there to make sure that investment for Coventry makes a real lasting difference for all of our communities, and not just those who are lucky enough in the past to really benefit from our uplift. So I hope that has been useful, and certainly we'd love to continue to have really progressive conversations with anybody that wants to take the opportunities of investing with us in Coventry as we set the benchmark for what a modern global city really will look like as a prosperous, sustainable, livable one for many, many years to come. Thank you very much.